Because this is an adventure through not only the years, but also by proxy the generations, I thought it would be interesting to play something that kickstarted the 8th. Killzone as a whole is about the ongoing war between two rival races, the Vectans and the Helghast. Can you guess which one of these are the bad guys? If you said the guys with the red angry eyes on their helmets, you are correct. Have a point. You can also probably guess how well things go when both of them are forced to live together on planet Vector, albeit divided by a massive wall, after the Vectans made the Helghast's home planet uninhabitable. Right, so who really are the bad guys in this? Oh yeah, definitely the dudes with the angry eyes. Lucas Kellen is a Vectan Shadow Marshal for the Interplanetary Strategic Alliance. Having worked his way up through the ranks since childhood, he does what all great spies do and gets captured by the Helghast whilst out on a mission. Later on, he is released via prisoner exchange, and this is when we meet half-breed Echo, who promptly gives him a bunch of 5s. She soon then turns face, the two escape, and she then helps aid in the fight for the rest of the game. Then there's some political gumph, growing tensions, a big planet-destroying weapon thing, and lots of shooting. And that is your general gist. Previous Killzone titles were generally regarded highly for their gunplay, and Shadowfall is no slouch either. There's not many guns, but the typical pistol, assault rifle, shotgun, sniper and heavy weapons are all present in one way or another, and they all feel satisfying to use. The Owl drone is a pretty cool dual gadget that can shield, shoot, stun, hack, revive and produce a zipline on a whim. Using the PS4's touchpad to select each order is a neat and welcome use of the then new technology, and I especially like going into gratuitous slow-mo when using a health pack to help pick off enemies. Shadowfall is visually still very attractive. The big swooping futuristic cityscapes and the remarkable set pieces really showcase how good a game can look today, let alone one from 2013. It's got a modest 10-hour length, it's a bit more vibrant and creative than your typical Call of Duty campaign. I like the big robot things, and this is where I start to stumble. Look, I always try to put a positive spin whilst writing these analyses, and to be honest, I'm kind of clutching at straws here, because Killzone Shadow Fall is a little bit of a damp squib. I think the plot tries to be a bit too serious. I'm sure the committee that wrote the story has some really good exposition, but some of it was just lost on me. The bad guys are bad, and the good guys are sort of good, but also bad, but not in the same way. But the bad guy you think is bad is actually good, and the good guy you think is good is actually really bad. And the really bad guy shoots spiders out of somewhere, and the really bad guy gets 40 seconds of screen time. I feel like the structure is oddly paced and a little bit repetitive. There's one section where you free fall and have to avoid obstacles, another where you're doing the same thing but being pulled upwards, and another where you're doing the same thing but wingsuiting through a planet being destroyed. Alright, that last one was at least visually impressive. I just wish the gameplay matched that. There are long sections where you aren't shooting which feel tedious. I have no connection to the cardboardy characters. Gone is the peering around corners from the previous games. Your main weapon is mandatory and therefore cannot be swapped like your secondary can. The stealth sections can do with being a bit more stealthy. Enemy AI won't seek you out but will still open fire on your general area, and they always know where you are even if you run and hide. And it's actually pretty easy, right up until it isn't. The final push at the end of the game just spears in difficulty. You mostly deal with small groups, but the last room just spaffs out waves of goons. Because of the odd pacing, I felt unprepared. If the game threw in a few more encounters like that, I honestly think it would have been better, or at least more balanced. There's a room before you enter that end zone full of weapons, but you can't backtrack to pick a different gun because the autosave triggers after the door is closed. I thought I could negate the repetitive soundtrack during the final push by turning the music off, but I couldn't because it stops at 50%. Since when has stopping at 50% volume for music been a thing? So all in all, is Killzone Shadow Fall a good or a bad game? I'm sure some people loved it. A lot of the critical praise came from the multiplayer, which has since been eviscerated. I can't ignore the shortcomings, but then again, I spent the equivalent of a McDonald's Savour meal on it. I played it mindlessly. I just wanted to be surprised and hoped it was a bit smarter than it actually was. I expected dumb, and I definitely got dumb. The best way to play it, I found, is to do it on easy and just go ham on everyone with the trigger. It's fine, I suppose. It's a keystone of that period of history where developers could take a few risks going into the new console generation. Some of them paid off, others didn't. Had I played this at launch, I think I would have been wowed by the graphics and the dust particles so much that I wouldn't have noticed the bad. Thankfully, Guerrilla got back on the hype train and only a few years later redeemed themselves with the utterly brilliant Horizon Zero Dawn. Killzone has since gone MIA. It's a good IP. I just wish it was done a bit more justice before it bowed out.